A mi abuela, la fundadora de la ternura, a mi madre, fuente de vida inagotable, a Silvia y a Julia por la canción interminable, a Lolita Lebrón por la fiereza. A mi abuela, la fundadora de la ternura, a mi madre, fuente de vida inagotable, a Silvia y a Julia por la canción interminable, a Lolita Lebrón por la fiereza, por lo que han hecho de mí como animal terrícola, hembra americana, antillana, boricua, por lo que han hecho de mí como animal terrícola, hembra americana, antillana, boricua, para siempre, para siempre. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome. I am very excited to be here. My name is Fabiola Mendez, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit of music before we go into the poetry. So that first song that I performed is actually inspired by a poem by Puerto Rican female writer Ángela María Dávila. And the lyrics of that poem talk about the women in the life of the poet and also in my life that are important. So she talks about her grandmother, a mi abuela. She talks about her mother, a mi madre. And she also talks about different figures of the Puerto Rican history that have been fighters for justice. So that was called Dedicatoria. And next up, I'm going to do an instrumental song to showcase my instrument, which is called the cuatro. It's the national instrument of Puerto Rico. And I'll perform a traditional song called Aguinaldo Jíbaro. I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Thank you so much. As I said, that was a very traditional song entitled Aguinaldo Jíbaro from Puerto Rico. So if you ever go down there and you see this instrument, you know, it's called the cuatro, and you can ask that person, can you play that Aguinaldo song? They will definitely have to know it. It's a very traditional one. Next up, I'm gonna do an original of mine, and this one was inspired by my experience living in the diaspora, right? All of us probably have had to move at some point in our life or travel, and we miss home, right, when we leave. So this song I entitled Al otro lado del charco, which translates to on the other side of the pond. And it's a phrase that us Caribbean people use whenever we move, we cross the pond, right, the ocean. So I hope that you enjoy this tribute to all the people that have moved, and their struggles, their joys, their sorrows, and of course the growth that comes out of this. So this is Al otro lado del charco. Estoy aquí, salí de mi eterno hogar a caminar. El sol salió, no es igual que en mi hogar. La música me refugiará al otro lado del charco. Aprendí a hacer lo que nunca fui, y aquí descubrí lo que es sufrir y amar y vivir. Al otro lado del charco aprendí a hacer lo que nunca fui, y aquí descubrí lo que es sufrir y amar y vivir. Estoy aquí, salí de mi eterno hogar a caminar. El sol salió, no es igual que en mi hogar. La música me refugiará al otro lado del charco. Aprendí a hacer lo que nunca fui, y aquí descubrí lo que es sufrir y amar y vivir. Al otro lado del charco aprendí a hacer lo que nunca fui, y aquí descubrí lo que es sufrir y amar y vivir. Thank you. Right, I'm going to perform one more song, and this one is a little bit of salsa, but it's just me by myself. So feel free to move a little bit, clap along if you want to. This is a traditional popular song from Latin America called Piel Canela, Cinnamon Skin, and it was written by Bobby Capó. I hope you enjoy it. Once again, my name is Fabiola Mendez, and thank you so much for having me here. Que se quede el infinito sin estrellas, o que pierde el ancho mar su inmensidad, pero el negro de tus ojos que no muera, y el canela de tu piel se quede igual. Si perdiera el arco iris su belleza, y las flores su perfume y su color, no sería tan inmensa mi tristeza como aquella de quedarme sin tu amor. Me importas tú, y tú, y tú, y solamente tú, y tú, y tú, y tú, y tú. Me importas tú, y tú, y tú, y nadie más que tú. Que se quede el infinito sin estrellas, o que pierde el ancho mar su inmensidad, pero el negro de tus ojos que no muera, y el canela de tu piel se quede igual. Si perdiera el arco iris su belleza, y las flores su perfume y su color, no sería tan inmensa mi tristeza como aquella de quedarme sin tu amor. Me importas tú, y tú, y tú, y solamente tú, y tú, y tú, y tú, y tú. Me importas tú, y tú, y tú, y nadie más que tú. Ojos negros, piel canela, que me llevan a desesperar. Me importas tú, y tú, y tú, y solamente tú, y tú, y tú, y tú, y tú. Me importas tú, y tú, y tú, y nadie más que tú, y nadie más que tú, y nadie más que tú. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabiola. Welcome to the Boston Public Library. My name is Jess Snow, and I'm the Assistant Manager of Youth Services for the Boston Public Library. I have had the absolute pleasure of being part of the team that created the Boston Youth Poet Laureate position. Porsha Olayiwola of the Boston Poet Laureate, Tom Johnston from the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, Nakia Hill from 826 Boston, and Alex Charlambides from Mass Leap. 2020 marked the year Boston saw its very first Boston Youth Poet Laureate. And that person is Alondra Bobadilla. Yes. Despite the world and Boston being in a pandemic and in a lockdown, 2020 was an extremely busy and prodigious year in terms of Alondra's output. She was commissioned by the Children's Museum to write a poem. She was commissioned by the Boston Public Library to perform and write a poem. She led poetry programs for teens for the Boston Public Library. She met with a class at the Hernandez School and talked about her role as the Boston Youth Poet Laureate. And now she has written a book with, yes, with clipped wings. And we're here to celebrate and congratulate Alondra. And this is in this feat, and thank her for her legacy in her debut book of poetry. Before we hear from Alondra, I would like to welcome Cara Elliott-Ortega, the Chief of Arts for the City of Boston, to say a few words. And I would just also like to mention as well that we are selling Alondra's book out front, as well as Porsha's book. Cara?
right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. And can we give one more round of applause to Fabiola Mendez for that beautiful music? All right, thank you so much, and thank you, Jess. It's so nice to be back here at the Copley Library. This is also one of the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture's first in-person events, going over now 16 months since we've been in person, so we're really glad to be here coming together with everyone tonight. And we are here today, as just mentioned, to celebrate poetry and our first youth poet laureate, Alondra Bobadilla. We could keep clapping for her every single time, that would be good. The city of Boston named Alondra the inaugural Youth Poet Laureate in January of 2020, and she has been working and creating ever since, as you just heard, doing readings, workshops, and other events all throughout the city. Despite the overwhelming difficulties that came with the pandemic, Alondra kept engaging Boston's communities and used her poetry to uplift residents, encourage them to express themselves creatively, and to stay inspired. She also did this during her junior and senior years of high school, and managed to balance her schoolwork and college applications with the responsibilities that come with the Youth Poet Laureate role. And here I just want to say a huge thank you to all of Alondra's family for their support of her in this role. And a big thank you to them also for just sharing her with us during this time. Alondra's commitment to encouraging youth to express themselves and use writing and spoken word as a tool to address topics like mental health and racial inequity is truly admirable and something that we need now more than ever. It's also been wonderful to see Alondra work collaboratively with our poet laureate, Porsha Olayiwola, and together they've been advocates for the power of the arts, poetry, and spoken word throughout the city. We're thrilled tonight to be celebrating Alondra's first debut collection of poetry, With Clipped Wings, as a wonderful culmination of her work over the past year and a half. And we have a feeling that this won't be her first book, or her last book, I should say. It's her first book. It won't be her last book. So congratulations again to Alondra, and thank you for sharing so much of yourself with us. I also want to take a moment to thank our mayor, Mayor Kim Janey, who has always embraced the arts and continues to embrace the arts, launching the Joy Agenda this summer as a citywide invitation to hold space for joy, create opportunities for collective processing of grief, and invest in healing, imagination, and play. As we explore what joy means to Boston and invest in the city's recovery and renewal through local artists, through local businesses, and youth, it's important that we continue to support arts and creativity as a way to foster connections and come up with creative solutions to issues that impact our communities. And that brings me to our current poet laureate, Porsha. We're so lucky to have artists like Porsha Olayiwola in Boston who have continued sharing their work over the last year and a half, helping us come together. And every time I introduce Porsha, I have the option of running through a really long, impressive list of so many things that she's done. But I think today I'm just going to mention her most recent accomplishment, organizing and leading Boston's first Roxbury Poetry Festival. It's an event that we hope becomes a regular tradition in Boston, and thanks to Porsha, it was just so meaningful to have one of our first cultural experiences in person, rooted in Nubian Square, and so full of connection and celebration, surrounded by the voices and words of the visionaries who make up our local artists and activists. So thank you for that, Porsha. And with that, it's my pleasure to introduce Porsha Olayiwola.
Hi, everyone. How's it going? Good. Congratulations. That's what I've been saying to everybody because it is a celebratory event. This book is a gift to us all, and congratulations, Alondra. So excited, so proud. I've learned so much from you. And I just want to say thank you and congratulations. This is like a party, okay? Which is to say I won't be here long. I won't be up here long. But I just wanted to talk a little bit about how the program got started and really the interview process. Jess said a little bit already, but about 2 years ago, approximately to the date, there are 5 of us who were like dreaming of a youth laureate for the city of Boston. I'll just say their names again because I think it's important to name and thank people aloud, but Tom Johnston's from the Mayor's Office of Arts and Culture, Jess, Tom does everything. That's what you should know. Jess from Teen Central here at the library. Alex Harlem Beatties from Mass Sleep, and Nakia from 826 Boston. And we literally would meet and dream. I keep saying dream, but really dream up a youth poet laureate, and not just a youth poet laureate, but a group of young people to kind of spearhead poetry and poetics in the city, and to be champions of poetry, and to really engage and interrogate the art, but also to meet citizens where they are and engage them with the art as well. And I say that to say that the folks that you'll hear reading right after me are literally a dream come true, right? It's been incredible to watch you, Alondra, grow and exist. And I think, I said this on Sunday. Alondra had a surprise book release party. But I said this on Sunday, but really, you blew us away at the interview. There are 10 young people who had incredible applications, who got really dressed up and had to come down to City Hall on a rainy Saturday morning. And a couple of us, a couple of poets, a couple of educators, leaders, young people sat in a room and interviewed 10 folks. And Alondra, you completely blew us away. I think all of us might have been crying afterwards. And I will also tell you that not only did Alondra blow us away, but all of the young people really blew us away. And when we had the announcement, the celebration here, announcing a Youth Poet Laureate, all 9 other finalists were incredible. And you have the chance to hear from one of them right before Alondra goes up. Tariq Charles was one of the finalists. And I was telling her family that Alondra was the first person to be interviewed, and I think, Tariq, you were the last. And so it's incredible that both of you all are here today, and the way you both just stood out and were a voice for folks. It was beyond yourself when you spoke, both of you. I'm gonna introduce Tariq Charles really quick, and just say he's absolutely incredible. Incredible writer, performer, MC, leader. He was my advisor for the Roxbury Poetry Festival. I had to call him up and say, what do you think of this? But also he spoke around the politics of Roxbury and gentrification in the city. So just an incredibly well-rounded young person. Tariq Charles, 19, is a student, poet, and MC. A Roxbury native, Charles is a 2020 Youth Poet Laureate finalist for the city of Boston, and he spends his time enjoying music and his family. You all please show some love coming to the stage right now. Give it up for Tariq Charles.
Hi. Nice to see all y'all. Nice to meet all y'all. I'm Tariq. Thank you. You really gassed me up. I really feel, sometimes you need like a couple compliments to get you going, Kind of shy right now, but, just get into it. Thank you. This is a piece of a song that I wrote. It's called Praise to Work. But, yeah, it's the first one. Just 2 quick pieces, I believe. Full effect, direct and live. We remain the ill-advised, product of the pillaged tribes. Entertainment feeding lies. I sustain by getting by little, so I thrive when I'm getting my gifts in my present eyes. Why would I settle when the pedal hasn't touched the ride? From the lows to a falsetto high, I surmised that we're the chosen mind. I took a piece of mine, then gave it to who needed peace of mind. My peace of mind does not decline when I'm not wasting time. Do the perpetrators of the art form were in a storm, and the eye of a tornado as calm as it was before. So with every word that I write and I spit, my intentions are pure. Yeah. Okay. This next one's kind of a little bit longer, but yeah. Snare, caption. It's called caption. Caption. Caption of the axis, spinning in the middle of nowhere, methodized madness. I'm amongst the chemicals, minerals, and gases that made the masses. I didn't need my glasses. It was displayed on the global stage in the classes. Missed school, but passed it. Therefore, I was average. I missed what they was getting at. I didn't catch the facts. So much untold scroll, so I had to fall back. There was a trap hidden for me as a web intertwined in my mind and close to me. In all due time, I had to choose what was close to me. Words like hocus pocus sound like hopefully, probably. That's the truth, unkindly. Please do remind me. Caption, take an image of my passions, the gashes, the bad fashions, the saddest, the crashing, the asthmatic, voice with the blackest, powerful flame that's unmatched but ain't cashed in it. Ain't gave out, we had sticks for the ration. Had to get back in my bag, the most savage. Snapping back into action like automatics. At the back of black civilians, it's more than pillaging. Like raindrops in the drop top that didn't beckon it. All violence, no innocence. Is still gotta pay the rent with temperament. Caption, new slavery and taxes. Caption, all of that in the past tense. When you write a caption, the next time your active caption was past this. Thank you.
That was Tariq, y'all. And those were his raps, and you can imagine what his poems sound like as well. Okay, speaking of poems, I'm gonna read a poem before I introduce Alondra, and I get out Charles' way, and you can like really marinate on this, the greatness that is with clipped wings. This poem, I chose to read it today because it's about young people, and it's about how young people change the world. I've been writing poems about water, and have been thinking about the Children's March of 1963 when Bull Connors knew the teens and the youth were coming to march, and he called the dogs in the waters on the young people, right? And there's also this African myth, folklore, spiritual story that says, you know, there was a group of Africans who realized they were gonna become slaves, and so they committed a mass suicide on an Igbo landing, right? And they just walked into the water. And some people rethink that story to say they flew away, right? So this is an Afrofuturistic reimagination of the Children's March. And it's called Children's March. Birmingham, Alabama, 1963. And it begins with an epigraph from Moss Brown that reads, "My gran used to tell me about folks flying back to Africa. A man and his wife was brung from Africa. When they found out they were slaves and got treated so bad, they just fret and fret. One day, they were standing with some other slaves, and all of a sudden, they say, 'We going back to Africa. So goodie bye, goodie bye.' A high-pressure water hose can take the head clean off. On the curb, a pair of tinted glasses small enough to dress a toy. In the street's middle, a pigtail, wrapped like caduceus and still fastened with barrette. Sky-colored uniform, each with an arm calling to a friend and the other limb in the leaping throat of a canine. The teens skip school to crusade, songs shrieking like squashed berries, pressed skirts, cadetting knees, patent leather Sunday shoes glinting from the fire hose, and the body's leaking grief. To shield against fatal, go fetal. Huddle the black of the pavement. Muzzle the face to the red brick of a storefront, spines sprayed, pinned like a crucifixion, righteous. The youngest, though, could not ground themselves with their own child weight, lighting them like feathers. See it from the window. Porcelain hoofed melancholy, waters rising them up, flapping in grimace, jetted black birds, grinning like ebony figurines, soaring the sea, kumyali, kumbabe tambe. My God, the children, did you see them? Salt blood. They took flight. Boom, and that is just like to get you in the mindset of like, totally marinating on the fact that young people change the world perpetually, constantly, consistently. They are literally the future. And again, I just want to tell you that this is a party, that this is a celebration for this young person who has mentored me, trust me, who has really mentored me these last 2 years. You know, when we set up the program, we were scheduled to have a mentorship. And so I think maybe we met in person like 3 times. We were like eating food, because that's my love language, you know, and talking about the book. And then, you know, COVID happened and everything shut down. And even still, it's been incredible to learn from you, to watch you grow, to have the honor of looking at this book so many times and learning from this book. And I'm so excited that you guys get a chance to witness this. We're so lucky to have you as our inaugural Youth Poet Laureate. You went above and beyond what we could even imagine the role would fulfill. We said, oh, the Youth Poet Laureate would write a book, and you literally wrote this book. You've pioneered relationships between the literature world and sports entertainment and writing for the Celtics. Just completely incredible work. I've read this book several times, and I am elated to finally have it signed by the legend and the poets. Alondra's debut collection of poems, With Clipped Wings, is an intimate adventure. The Youth Poet Laureate uses form and what I am calling modernized confessional poetry to explore our most vulnerable selves. Each poem holds a mirror, offering a dare for readers to heal unapologetically. This book is a holy grail. With Clipped Wings is a guide to growing from a writer whose wisdom is most necessary. You all, please show some love for your Youth Poet Laureate, for my mentor. Give it up for Alondra Bobadilla.
Just because I'm short. Whew, okay. Okay. Hi, everybody. So I'm just going to read what I wrote, and then I'm going to read from my book. All right. I would like to thank everyone for coming out to celebrate with me. Standing here in this moment is surreal. And I didn't have this written down, but I have to say it because that's how I felt when I came in here. It's like it came full circle. I performed here for the first time when I was announced to become the Youth Poet Laureate, and now I'm here again. So I'm just like, okay, all right, okay. I used to dream about writing and publishing a book when I was younger. I used to use this writing platform called Wattpad to write poetry and short stories, and one time, a short novel. And I would create and imagine and dream that one day I would get to actually publish one of these works, that I would have a physical book in my hand. Along the way, I lost motivation to dream. And like my father always says, if you stop dreaming, it's like you've died. But as I wrote this book, took it apart, and put it together, God reminded me of my dream. He reminded me of Wattpad and all my imaginings. He showed me that I was now walking in the simple idea I had as a kid. Writing this book was incredibly difficult, but revising it was even harder. I felt like every time I had to read one of the pieces over, I was getting punched in the gut with so many complex emotions that I didn't want to feel. From the very first moment that I knew I was going to have the opportunity to write and publish a book, I knew in my spirit what it would be about. Though at times I doubted, it was confirmed time and time again that this book needed to be a testimony of growth, the story of the writer, of my voice, of my becoming. I use my poetry as a tool to help people, to act as a voice for the voiceless. But in this process, I learned that I don't only need to step into other people's shoes to help them and connect with them. My shoes are good too. My story also has a lesson, an impact, a reason. I have to give a big thanks to Porsha for all her help from beginning to end, for pushing me to go beyond my creative limitations and to write about myself in a way I never have before. I want to thank Michelle and Asya, my wonderfully talented editors, for taking their time out to help me through each and every piece of work. They too helped me bring the most out of my poetry and prose, and I am so grateful. I thank you to Tom for all of his support. I don't know where he is. Where he at? And all the time and energy he puts into helping me. I want to thank Janie, the illustrator of the cover. She brought my vision to life, and I am in awe. I thank my mother and my father and my 3 closest friends who ain't here, but they was at the party. Mara, Alex, and Eliani for being my support system and encouraging me to be raw, even if it hurt. Finally, I thank God that I'm standing here to share my story with all of you, and I thank him for helping me get through each of these events I speak on in With Clipped Wings and the ones I don't. Without further ado, here is With Clipped Wings. For starters, I dedicated this book to my grandmother. Grandmother from my father's side, she passed away in 2018. All right, the first poem is entitled Between the Lines. Writing about who I am is admitting I have no idea, but in verse. My metaphors are wells with no water to draw from, a pharmacy prescription, scribbled in cursive, pretty but useless. You wouldn't know that though, unless you read between the lines. It's admiration from afar of a faint figure, a stranger, a detached biography of a person I've never met. My voice, the thunderous pound of bass drums. My song, the distant strum of a broken guitar. I am a blue flame flickering in the dark. Faint, but so beautiful you think you can touch and not get burned, but fire's still fire, no matter who or what it burns. I am stems without flowers, but I got good roots. And isn't the foundation more valuable than the petals you do see? The depth of the soil, the kind of seed. We pick flowers for bouquets, but I have faith that when I blossom, I'll bear fruit, fresh in abundance, sweet to the tongue, plenty to feed. A house that's plain on the outside, but I am far from vacant. God's spirit dwells and you can see his image behind the window panes of my eyes, vibrancy etched in my walls, a little lonely, but homey. A couple holes, a little broken, but under renovation. My fears stand like watchmen at the doors. Fear of being met with silence when I tell my truth. Fear of loving and being loved, fear of intimacy. I'm a little lost. I'm struggling to let the process of molting begin to shed the old so the new me can move in. But until then, if anybody asks, my name is Defender. But people call me Alo and Ace and Love and Hope. So the second poem, this is one of my personal favorites because I wrote this at like 3 a.m. in the morning. And it's gone through a little bit of edits, but it's still, very true to the message that I was trying to send. I just love reading it. I just love looking back at it. So here is Home is Where the Car Is. And so you tell me, farewell for a second run around. Your hands look for me like keys in the dark. I wonder why things end, why people choose to walk away, how they drop off a friend just to never see them again and pick up new passengers the next. If only me and Flower had seen beyond our hurt. If only me and the boys were still close, Sam and Chris, Chucho and Rogelio. If only Mira had never moved and Elizabeth had kept my digits, maybe then I would not be driving without direction. Whisk me away, lost boys, let's watch Stand By Me and pick characters for our friends. Let me hear you sing all of Christina Perri's songs, struggling to hit a note through the tears, screaming as we hold each other, asking if staying would have been worth it, even if it meant no growing up. They all say, do not look back, but all I have is my what ifs to console me. What if I told you, flower, that you were supposed to be here beside me? What if I told you, flower, that I pray for you more than I pray for myself, that every stage I step on is meant for you too? What if I told you, boys, that I watch wind pass over willows and I think of the family we built, these brothers and sisters, these tias and tios? What if I told you, boys, that God blessed the way we dressed each other's wounds, our conversations under street lights, when the tink of glass over gossip was the only nursery rhyme we knew? I know I can't keep you. So as I drive, I will wear you as a rosary and hold you as I pray, and dangle you on my ears and fall asleep to the music of the old days. I'll watch you through the rear view as I let go of my desire to fasten you to the womb of this city we are all trying to run from. The church steps, my father's porch, the zip line of bad decisions and ill paninos, all the places where we found our hearts falling out of the sky. I just hope that if you ever come back to pay these places a visit, you'll meet me here time capsuled, lingering, greeting you with the kiss of bitter goodbyes, where you will hear my voice ringing, welcome home, welcome home, welcome home. The next poem I'm going to be reading is entitled Anger. And this is one of 7 poems that is written in a really cool format. And it's in the form of a definition. So like literally like when you Google something, you're like, what's the definition of like, I don't know, cathartic, whatever that word is. That's the format that it comes out in. It's just so hard to write a poem through and even harder to read, but I'm going to do it. All right. Anger. Noun. 1. What girls are told to suppress. Young women when they tire of screaming for deaf ears, when the cup has overflowed. Coloring inside the iron bars, smiling until it rips at the cheek. It's when calladita is no longer bonita. Similar, rage. 2. An emotion little boys feel and they hate themselves for not being worth the love their dad never knew to give. The no-show at the recital, the never kept a promise, the look who you became without me. Skies to the fists. Revenge seems bliss. Similar, wrath. 3. It's throwing apples at power lines and my arm going limp before I punch a wall. 4. It's the storm before the fall. 5. The emotion you feel when you realize it's your childhood home that was set on fire. First time I had ever felt safe in my life with somebody, and I get it taken away from me, and for what? To protect me? Couldn't protect me then. Now you want to protect me? This next poem is entitled Psalm 42, March 27th, 2020, 6:24 p.m. Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me? Nobody ever knew. Ooh, you know what? Nobody ever knew. No one noticed. The irritability, the disconnection, the exhaustion, the dullness in my eyes. I didn't see it until therapy. The struggle to laugh and to smile. This feeling I could never shake off of being at the edge of a cliff. But I was taught that these feelings could have easy fixes. Better to try swallowing the lump in my throat down with liquor. Better to try smoking the soot out of my heart and let it go to my lungs. Better to entertain a couple friends hanging on loose threads and let them be the anesthesia. I taught myself how to scream without an audible voice, trying to fool my soul into believing there had been a release. I'd whisper to myself, "You're okay. It's not that bad. Just breathe. Fix it." Meanwhile, I'd feel this sharp pain twist in my chest that I couldn't explain. This constant aching accompanied by the seething resentment towards everyone around me, towards myself. Numb, I could name my problems but could not name solutions. I could name my God but felt so far from his heart. I had the words he spoke to me to hold on to, but I did not understand their meaning. God had said I'd rise after this process from one mountain to the next. I was told I was elevating, yet found myself drowning. I was being broken apart piece by piece, yet God said he was rebuilding. I counted the moments, the hours, the seconds. Days dragged like my body out of bed. Old memories showed up like nightmares. I have claimed this psalm as mine. This will be my poem, my anthem, my prayer, day and night until this depression is gone. With the little faith I have left, I will trust in the rebuilding. Why, my soul, are you downcast? Why so disturbed within me? Put your hope in God, for I will yet praise him, my Savior and my God. So the reason why I was like, hold up, something like that, was because I was like, wait a minute, I forgot to give, some type of background context. So that piece of work and with the dates, those are journal entries. Like, that was a legit journal entry. That changed and was edited and was revised. So that's why it doesn't sound like a typical poem, because it's not. But I really wanted to include those in there because I was like, I can't turn my journals into poems when they're just journals. They were not meant to be poems. And likewise. And I mean, I guess you could, but some of them I just didn't want to. So it kind of sounds like poems, but they're not. All right. The second to last poem is Remedy for Them Lonely Nights. Rummage the cabinets for old memories, for photos meant for the trash, for letters from friends, from lovers you will never speak to again. Rummage the fridge. Leave and go for snacks, for fast food. Pick all your favorites, your Popeyes, your choice chocolates. Eat them all. Eat as if your stomach will expand, as if your esophagus will lengthen, till you vomit everything you built up inside, till it all splatters and you're forced to see the bile, the half-chewed, the forcefully swallowed. Eat until you release the truth. Hit up a contact you haven't spoken to in forever. Ask them about how they've been. Let their voice mimic the person you really want to talk to. Say you missed them since the last time, don't describe it. Play iMessage games, because we all know that's the start of everything. Focus on their babble. Let it suppress the voice in your mind trying to reason with your impulse. Find solidarity in their story, or bombard them with yours. Or if you just don't care enough, hit them with the damn, that's tough. Go to Copley and buy all the jewelry. Bling out your neck, your wrists, your hips. Get a couple Japanese tattoos. Shave your head. And you know what? Matter of fact, dial while you're at it. Mix and match. Cover yourself with paint. The expensive kind. Liquid gold in a bottle. Trick your reflection. Tell it you're a new person. That you're becoming. Under all the ink, the metal, the fabric. Tell yourself it's a new beginning. Tell yourself the haircut means cutting old ties. Tell the mirror that the tats are symbolic. Tell your parents that they just don't get your message. Take hot showers. Let the water burn your body, leaving red patches down your back. Close your eyes. Count to 10. Think of the safest person you have. Imagine the water is them embracing you, the only warmth in the coldness of the bathroom. Repeat until you realize you're desensitized. Till you realize that you're misguided, till you realize that you're tired and that you miss your hair and bare skin, that nothing has changed at all, and you realize that you're sick. For if a person lives many years, let him take joy in them all, yet remembering that there will be many days of darkness. Young person, if you spend your youth only having fun, understand for all these things God will bring you into judgment. Therefore, remove anger from your heart and keep from harming your body, for neither adolescence nor youth has any lasting value. Ecclesiastes 11, 8 to 10. All right. Last but certainly not least, and also one of my favorites. I know I'm gonna cry, no. But this is one of my favorites. And it's called Phase 3. Okay. The best memory I have of my grandmother is of her smiling. It hangs on a fake gold locket shaped like wings furled in the form of a heart. Beautiful. It sparkles like 24 carats, and I'd never trade it for real gold. I can picture her in death, her body laid in a casket, her lips a porcelain doll-shaped mortician's grin. Not even God would give you the blueprint of how he made her smile illuminate. Flashback to the moment it hit me. We were driving up the road to my sister's school. Her little arms hugged my limp body goodbye. I didn't want her to touch me because I hate being weak. I would rather be angry than cry, and her hug is what triggered me. All I wanted was to break every glass window I came around to see. But these limbs were useless, dead weight. Feather in a sea of gasoline, I could have drowned myself in the ocean of my grief. And I wondered about God, how the seemingly bad could coexist so lovingly with the good. How at my grandmother's funeral, I saw old friends and family finally lose the pride and gather in a collective embrace. How it's only after she passed that I realized I needed healing. Her death left me devastated, mind scattering to make sense of the concept of never visiting her home again, left me watching them pack up her room only hours after she was dead, leaving the apartment as if it was never lived in, never loved. Her death left me slamming doors in the hallways at school, left me skipping my worst subject periods to wander and get lost, rendered me speechless. But through loss, I learned that the peace of God is louder than the grief when you call upon his name. I learned that it is possible to go through the healing process without life having to stop, that you can tend to the cuts and move through life, still smile, still laugh. Only in my pain did I discover what I love and who I am. When the sun leaks into my home, I bask in the rays and I remember her. I see a younger me walking in on my grandmother when she would pray with the blinds closed and the room was still, just her and a rosary. And I'd sit on the bed and listen to her whispers as she listed family members by name, and she'd tell me to join. I don't believe she watches over me. She's too busy partying an eternity to mine, probably playing dominoes with the angels and jumping into crystalline rivers and seas. My locket doesn't click closed anymore. Her picture is always in view. That semi-toothless grin blessing the eyes of whoever takes a peek in cautious curiosity and wondering of the person who lay beneath the wings. I think these wings are eager to take off. Leave the home it's made on my neck behind. As my heart already has, these locket wings have learned to fly. Clumsily, but still, they have learned, as I have, that to fly your best, you must learn to fly with clipped wings. Thank you.
Wow, yeah, feel free if you are able to just stand and show Alondra some love. That was an incredible reading. I assume everybody already has the book, and if you don't, I hope that you go grab it. Because in addition to just the words, the form is really beautiful, and some of the work that you're doing is incredible. Thank you for, putting that chef's kiss and leaving us with the title poem. I appreciate that so much. Congratulations. I also just want to show some love to Mom and Dad. If you guys could just stand really quickly. Mom and Dad are at everything. They do absolutely everything. I'm pretty sure this book would not be possible with them, as well as little sister, where you at? You can stand up, She's also incredible, and a future poet in the making. But Alondra, congratulations. We are so humbled, lucky, honored to have you in our lives. And folks, make sure you grab the book just outside, and make sure you get your copy signed. And then I encourage you to take a photo with the sign and, you know, tag it so that Alondra could collect these memories. But thank you so much. Congratulations. Time to party.